Chapter 44. Jane Toppan. In the late 19th century, in the bustling heart of Boston, a woman named Honora Kelly, who would later be known as Jane Toppan, was born in 1857. Her early life was steeped in tragedy and hardship. Her mother succumbed to tuberculosis when Jane was still a child, and her father, driven by mental instability, abandoned her and her siblings. This unstable beginning set the stage for a life that would eventually unravel into one of the most chilling tales of serial murder in American history. Taken in by the Toppan family as an indentured servant, Honora was given the name Jane Toppan. Her early experiences in foster care were far from nurturing, and the emotional scars she carried would later manifest in the most sinister ways. Despite these hardships, Jane displayed a keen intellect and a warm demeanor, traits that allowed her to pursue a career in nursing, a profession built on trust and compassion. In the hospitals of Cambridge, Massachusetts, Jane Toppan began to forge her path. She was well liked by her colleagues and patients alike, known for her cheerful disposition and apparent dedication to her work. But beneath this congenial exterior lay a deeply disturbed mind. Jane's fascination with death and her desire for control over life and death began to take hold. She started experimenting with morphine and atropine, administering lethal doses to patients under her care. Toppan's victims were often elderly or gravely ill, their deaths easily attributed to natural causes. She reveled in the process of killing, deriving a twisted pleasure from the power she exercised over her helpless victims. Her methods were meticulous. She would vary the doses to prolong their suffering, staying by their side to witness their final moments. This sadistic delight in the act of murder marked her as not just a killer but a predator of the most chilling kind. Her spree of murders continued undetected for years, her position as a nurse providing the perfect cover. Jane's ability to blend in, to appear as a kind and caring nurse, allowed her to continue her lethal activities unchecked. It wasn't until 1901, after a series of suspicious deaths in the Davis family, that her crimes began to unravel. The patriarch of the Davis family, Alden Davis, had died unexpectedly, followed by his daughters. The surviving family members demanded an investigation, suspecting foul play. The investigation led to the exhumation and autopsy of Alden Davis, revealing the presence of poison in his system. Confronted with the evidence, Jane Toppan confessed to the murders, claiming responsibility for 31 deaths, although it is believed she may have killed many more. Her chilling confession, delivered with a disturbingly calm demeanor, shocked the nation. The trial that followed was a media sensation, with newspapers across the country covering every lurid detail. Despite her detailed confession and the overwhelming evidence against her, Toppan was found not guilty by reason of insanity. The jury determined that she was incapable of understanding the nature of her actions. She was committed to the Taunton Insane Hospital, where she would spend the rest of her days. Jane Toppan's case had profound repercussions. The medical community was forced to confront the terrifying possibility that a caregiver could be a killer. Hospitals re-evaluated their protocols, increasing oversight and implementing stricter measures to monitor the behavior of their staff. Toppan's crimes also sparked debates about the insanity defense and the legal criteria for determining criminal responsibility, influencing future legislation. The legacy of fear and distrust that Jane Toppan left in her wake was felt far beyond the immediate circle of her victims. Communities that had once felt safe and secure were now gripped by paranoia, struggling to rebuild trust in the wake of her betrayal. The nursing profession, once viewed as a bastion of compassion and care, faced intense scrutiny as a result of her actions. In the decades following her death in 1938, Jane Toppan's story has been retold and sensationalized in books, documentaries, and films. Each retelling adds to the mythos of the "Angel of Death," as she came to be known, while also raising ethical questions about the portrayal of true crime and the fine line between informing the public and exploiting tragedy for entertainment. The psychological aftermath of her crimes extended to the families of her victims, who were left to grapple with profound grief and unanswered questions. The communities she once served were left to cope with the fear and mistrust that her actions had sown. The trauma of her deeds underscored the far-reaching impact of serial murder on society, highlighting the need for support and healing for those left in its wake. Jane Toppan's case also challenges traditional notions of gender and violence. As a female serial killer, she defied societal expectations and forced a re-evaluation of the roles women could play in criminal behavior. Her actions demonstrated that the capacity for cruelty and evil knows no gender boundaries, prompting deeper examinations of the intersection between gender, power, and violence. As we reflect on Jane Toppan's life and the horrors she perpetrated, it is essential to remember her victims. Each life she took was an individual with hopes, dreams, and loved ones left behind to mourn. Establishing memorials and conducting commemorative events can serve as acts of healing and remembrance, honoring those who suffered at her hands and ensuring their stories are not overshadowed by the infamy of their killer. Studying Jane Toppan's life and crimes provides valuable insights into the darkest corners of human nature and the vulnerabilities within our societal systems. Her story serves as a sobering reminder of the importance of vigilance, accountability, and compassion in preventing such tragedies from recurring. By learning from the past, we can work towards a future where the horrors of Jane Toppan's actions remain an anomaly, and the trust between caregivers and those they serve is restored and upheld. Jolly, Jane Toppan.